Europe in 1572. What a time to be alive. You could sign up for the most hash elite squads, make a bunch of new mates, toss dice with necromancers and even snack yourself a nemesis or two, who, let's be honest, were mainly after your blood. You know, the bucket list. Join me as I dive into Requiem Downfall of Magic, where we'll navigate through secret missions, discover the plot, and maybe, just maybe, chop off a few monster heads along the way. Welcome to preview of Requiem Downfall of Magic. Greetings adventurers! My name is Adam aka Weekly Game Night and I'm honored to show you the newest game by Ludus Magnus Studio called Requiem Downfall of Magic. Straight up, this game is an adventure-packed, story-driven thrill ride filled with sneaky characters and monsters that need defeating. Who knows, maybe there is even a princess somewhere out there? Just a heads up, all the cool stuff you are about to see comes from a prototype version because this game hasn't launched yet. It's hitting Kickstarter this March and you can snag all the details and join the campaign through the link in the video description. As a diehard fan of their productions, I say it with pride that this video was sponsored by Ludus Magnus Studio, but fear not, for my preview will be sharp as sword tempered in the heart of the fallen star. So stick around for my insights and thoughts after playing it a couple of times, as I will be slicing through to the heart of what makes this game special. In this video, I will show you what this game is all about and share my thoughts after playing it a couple of times, as I said before, but if you don't want to see me talking and would rather like to see the game in action, there is other playthrough video I did. I mean, I will still be talking, but also playing, Anyways, shall you have any questions? I'm waiting for your comments and please consider subscribing to my YouTube and perhaps hitting a like under this video so we can make it, Requiem, more visible here on YouTube. Okay, now that we've got this sorted out, let's see what Requiem Downfall of Magic is all about. Requiem Downfall of Magic is a cooperative adventure game for 1 to 4 players set in Renaissance Europe. Each scenario, called chapter, comes with its own branching of story and scenario booklets. The choices you make will greatly affect the scenario's outcome. Players take on the roles of members of Order, secret special forces trying to resolve the mysterious plot that includes all the fun stuff: necromants, high-powered figures and sea of monsters. Each character has its own card, unique deck of skills, level deck, action tokens used for performing actions, and that is supported by companions, potions, medications and tons of equipment that you're gonna find or buy, all stored nicely on the doubled layered player dashboards. To play a game, you simply read the scenario setup and start exploring the world map. There is a neat action token system in the game for performing actions. Each character's action cost is different and you pay it by flipping the tokens. As you perform actions, you will uncover new tiles and explore them to draw cards from pre-constructed exploration decks. These cards will move the story forward by telling you to read proper paragraph, bring side quests to the table and spawn monsters. And there is a sea of enemies you can face: standard arquebusers, cultists, crows with child's head inside their beaks, abominations, and even mighty nemesis Moors. It probably goes without saying, but scalps are totally awesome. And when you happen to fight the baddies, there is a fast dice combat system. Just roll 2 dice for you and your foe, jazz up the result with your equipment and skills, and aim to rack up more swords and shields than your adversary to chop off that sucker's head in grand style. Right. Whole game is divided into turns, each consisting of 3 phases. preparation, when you will refresh all your exhausted game elements like action tokens, skill cards and equipment. Action phase, in which you will roam the world, perform actions, explore the world and move the story forward. Finally, the end of turn, time for the enemies to attack. Ouch. As you walk, sneak, slash and bash your way through the scenario, you will come to inevitable end. And it's time to read the scenario outcomes and refresh, level up, get some new gear and bon voyage, you are off to the new chapter. Alright, now that you know how it looks and how it plays, it's time to share my thoughts. Requiem Downfall of Magic is a full-on adventure game with all the game elements that a good adventure game should have. So we have characters with unique abilities, a map you can explore, tons of enemies and some nice main story that unfolds with each chapter and random events and side quests happening in each of the chapters. While Requiem Downfall of Magic doesn't necessarily bring any revolutionary mechanics to the table, it ticks all the boxes and it plays fast. On the box it's written 90 minutes and this is what you can expect from a single scenario. The game is set in the world of Nova Aetas that all the fans of previous Ludus Magnus Studio productions, games like Black Rose Wars or my beloved Nova Aetas Renaissance will find familiar, but for those that are new to the party, think of swords and good dose of magic set in Renaissance Italy and Germany in this case. Actually, it's called Holy Roman Empire to be precise. Okay, so first let me do a little breakdown of all the elements of the game I've mentioned. Let's start off with the characters. We get different characters slash classes with its own skills and action tokens, but what might seem new is that there are no stats, which is kind of refreshing and it doesn't really spoil the game anyhow, as your stats are somewhat hidden in the number of action tokens. You have dice that come with each of the classes and of course characters' skills. Still, with different dice set for each of the class and unique abilities, you can easily distinguish who is a smasher and who has the support role. And each character comes with fast level up system that grants us access to new abilities. We can take more actions, have more equipment, etc. And this feels, well, satisfying. Actions you can take, skills, equipment and companions bring just enough options to the table without making the whole game too complicated and making your head spin. Also, quite fast progress is something I usually enjoy in games like this one, and I can't finish talking about characters without mentioning that player interaction, it is something that is written in the DNA of this game. Donate money, medications or potions, use skills or equipment. If you want the best outcome, you will have to cooperate and interact, and this game provides a vast array of ways to do it. Okay, next. In each of the chapters we have a world map that you can explore. When you do, you draw a card from different pre-constructed decks, scenario-specific decks actually. This is how you spawn enemies and move the story forward. In Prototype, I only got access to scenario played in woods, as you can see here, but it's cool to see how this map is becoming alive when filled in with enemies, companions and side quests. One thing that didn't feel quite natural to me was the exploration cost. You can explore the same tile twice. If you do it with the other character, it takes you 2 actions. If you do it alone, it takes you 3 actions. Minor thing, but just something worth mentioning, I think. Perhaps the most interesting aspect of the game is the storybook that guides us through each scenario. First, on its own, it's a nice story, but I do wonder why woods in November were so crowded. Anyways, the story feels natural and is well written. Each chapter comes with booklets full of events, bits of stories, and it's actually up to you what choices you're gonna make. And different choices means different outcomes. Here's the thing. I played the prototype twice, and first two plays were completely different. I got to meet different enemies, different events, so I kind of felt like playing a different game. There is a good dose of events in this scenario that have to happen, and those that are just random events or side quests. And it's hard to tell which one is which, and this is a great plus. After playing the game twice, I still haven't found the way to obtain the golden arquebus, for example. Interesting is the fact that you can't always take the choice you want, because you might not have the proper resources to do that. And that, dear adventurers, takes us to replayability and expansions possibilities. I can vouch for this game has some great replayability value. Rarely will I see that game I played again and again, and it was so different, so kudos for that, Ludus Magnus Studio. And I see how easily Ludus Magnus can create interesting and not overproduced expansions to that game. All we need is a set of booklets that create the campaign, some new cards, couple of minis, and voila! Will that be the way? It's up to the backers actually and publisher itself, but definitely I see the potential. Okay, now let's zero in on the enemies in the game. You're gonna fight a lot in the game, but the fight is quite simple and fast. You will roll a dice, enemy will roll a dice, there are ways to influence the roll result, which is always welcomed, of course. In this first scenario, enemies weren't especially spectacular, but I do know that we're gonna get or meet Nemesis, something like a boss, in some of the future scenarios, so I'm really looking forward to that. And with that being said, monsters we are meeting are still powerful enough to knock us down a couple of times, but as in this game you cannot die or be eliminated or lose the game, you will always get back on your feet like a true soldier and move the campaign forward. Speaking of enemies, the game looks fantastic. Ludus Magnus is just making games that look good. So miniatures, player dashboards, detailed sculpts, amazing equipment cards, everything click in this one, bringing some Renaissance feeling to your table. And so it looks like Ludus Magnus Studio has really nailed it with excellent adventure game. Requiem Downfall of Magic offers up some neat ideas and some fresh twists, and lives up to its promise of delivering exciting gameplay that wraps up in about 90 minutes for each of these scenarios. I had a great time with it, diving into its stories that branch off in different directions, of course, getting lost in the Nova Aetas world, messing around with tons of skills and gear, and watching my character level up quickly, of course, were the highlights for me. If you would have to compare the general feeling, I would think of Journeys in the Middle-earth, but without an app, which to me is great, as I had a great fun playing Journeys, but I heard some people complaining about the app factor. I mean, don't get me wrong, mechanics are completely different, but the general feeling is similar. Downfall of Magic's complexity is definitely below games like Nova Aetas Renaissance or Gloomhaven, but above Cthulhu Death May Die or Zombicide, for example. I feel like it was addressed to medium to heavy players, but new players will also find themselves in this game easily. All in all, I'm super excited to see what the finished game looks like. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out Requiem Downfall of Magic on Kickstarter. Link to the campaign is as usual in the description of this video. Thanks again and bye bye!